Welcome back to Mind and Movement, getting smart about how you move. I'm Hazel. Thank you so much for joining me for Coffee and Move number 29. Very exciting day here in New Zealand. We will find out at 4 o'clock if we are going out of lockdown on Wednesday and going to level 3, which will still be very restricted. But who knows? Still many things to be thought about, and let's just hope they do whatever is safest for those most vulnerable. So today I thought we would do a little bit of work on ankle dorsiflexion, and I have awesome ankle dorsiflexion. So ankle dorsiflexion is the ability of your shin to come close towards your foot, or for you to pull your foot up towards your shin. That's dorsiflexion. And I have awesome dorsiflexion when my knee is bent. But when my leg is straight and the hamstring comes into play here, my dorsiflexion is restricted because of my hamstring. So it's interesting thinking about how when my hamstring is kind of out of the picture and it's not creating tension in my superficial back line, then my ankle dorsiflexion is not restricted by it. But when I'm straight in my leg, it is. So if that's the case, it means when I'm walking, I'm going to have a hard time hip extending, and I'm going to spend more time on my toes. I'm going to be taking a shorter step, which is not going to be good for the bone generation in my hip. So my chances of getting osteoporosis, unless I do something about this, are higher than somebody with better dorsiflexion. So I've got a shopping bag. I find these awesome because I've got the straps, and you can just put your foot in there and just grab the bag, so you don't need to have a strap. So I've got something underneath my head here. I'm going to put that down there. I'm going to lie down here. This is going to go under my head, and I'm going to lift my leg up. But the key here is that I don't want any movement to be happening in my lumbar spine. I want the movement to happen at my hip joint. So if I notice that my pelvis is tipping back and I kind of flatten my lumbar curve in this position, then the movement is happening in my lumbar spine, not my hip, and you're not going to get the movement that we need. So here I am putting the strap under the ball of my foot there, so I am stretching my hamstring and plus pulling my ankle into a little bit of dorsiflexion. So my leg is completely relaxed here. I am completely taking the load with my hands, which is awesome because it's working on my grip strength. So I've bolstered under the head to take account of our kyphosis, our forward heads that we all have, and so we don't want to throw our neck into hyperextension in this position. So we've bolstered our head, and really for me this is a massive, massive hamstring stretch. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the leg over a little bit. So I'm crossing it over my body. And now that for me brings the stretch much more laterally into the lateral hip. I feel it a little bit in my IT band, my iliotibial band, which is that thickening of the fascia lata. It's a super cool thing because if we didn't have it, every step we took, our hip would pop out. It's helping to hold the head of our femur in our acetabulum, so it's helping to hold our hip joint together. So I could get my leg up higher, but when I'm doing that, I'm compressing my lumbar spine. So I'm really taking into account here where the movement is happening and making sure that I'm getting the movement happening at my hip joint. So this is not only great for, the movement of the hip, but it's also great for your grip strength. If you're like me, but about now you want to stop doing this exercise, and not because it hurts your hamstring. I'm really enjoying the hamstring part of it, but because it is hurting my hands. And on that note, how could we do this exercise? So when we do the V-sit or a straight leg sit where we can stretch our hamstrings by doing a hip hinge, we could also do stretch called the cat suit stretch. So for this stretch, you put your feet up against a wall, and then that kind of, you can't plant and flex your toes so you can get more of a stretch in your superficial back bone. So for this one, I'm going to have to do it with my back towards you, but I'll show you what I'm doing. So I'm going to sit myself up on something about the same height that I set myself up on when I am doing the V-sit. But this time my legs are going to go straight out in front of me and they're going to touch the wall, right? So my legs are just straight out in front of me, touching the wall. And I'm going to back this up a little bit. And then all I'm going to do here is do a forward bend. So I'm really tight in the back line when I have my hips flexed. So I am bending forward and dropping my neck forward. So I said there, I'm just bending forward and dropping my neck forward. So a couple of interesting things to do here. The first one is to drop your head forward, then hinge at the hips, then come back, and then then hip hinge, and then drop your head forward. It'll just show you different areas that you're need to work on. I'm really tight in the lower back here because I've been throwing this part of my body under the bus for a really long time. So here I'm going to hip hinge as far as I can, which isn't very far, and then I'm going to let my head go just gently. And just so you can see from the side, all I'm doing is I have my legs out here, but I have my legs resting on the wall. And so if I do it like this, I'm going to actively have to pull my feet into dorsiflexion instead of just letting them relax on the wall. And so here, this time, let's take that head forward first, and then dorsiflex. So that really, not dorsiflex, hip hinge, that really kind of, I really feel that in my lumbar spine. It's lovely, just a nice little bit of movement through the hamstrings. So yeah, my hamstrings really do affect the movement of my hips, affect the movement of my ankles, affects the movement of my spine. And why? I think I've told you this before, because as a kid, my knees when I was sitting up, they always used to hit the table, and they still do because I've got long bones. So I used to do this, pull my feet towards me because it lowers my knees, as you can see. And this here, you can see this is stretching my calf muscles, but it's making my hamstring so short, right? That hamstring attachment comes down into here, into that under the knee, and then I am pulling it really into a shortened position. So for me, the hamstrings, I want to spend a lot of time in a position of lengthening the hamstring and minimal time in anything that's going to shorten my hamstring. So the question that I ask myself about this daily is not what can I do to fix this, because my hamstrings are not tight because I don't stretch them. My hamstrings are tight because I've spent so much time with them in a shortened position. So the answer is not to stretch them, the answer is to spend lots of time with them in a lengthened position. So doing a little bit of stretching is part of that, but the bigger part of that is how can I spend less time with my hamstrings in a shortened position. So for that for me means how can I spend less time sitting in a chair. And one of the big answers for me for that was having a dynamic standing workstation where I don't have to sit down. And that was a major contributing factor for me getting more range through my hamstrings, because instead of shortening my hamstrings all day sitting that down and then trying to lengthen them a bit by doing some stretching in the evening or the afternoon, I now don't have them short all day. I have them in kind of a standing position, and then I do work. I do work on the ground, so I'm stretching my hamstrings. Last night I was playing cards. I was sitting with my legs out straight on the floor, so I could be stretching my hamstring. So I just need to spend more time in a hamstring lengthening position, which might include some stretching, but hopefully just includes more activities throughout the day where I can be in a hamstring lengthening position. So like we talked about yesterday, I can create sarcomerogenesis, the generation of more sarcomeres or muscle units, specifically in my hamstrings. So over the weeks, months and years ahead, I slowly but surely increase the functional range, the length of my hamstring, and therefore be able to build up the density in my hip bone and be able to take a lot of the load out of my lumbar spine and elsewhere in my body. Party on with that geeky knowledge about the body. But knowledge is power. When you understand why you're doing something, you're way more likely to actually do it. So this is Coffee and Move 29, and just so you know, once Coffee and Move is finished, I've enjoyed doing this so much that I'm going to continue doing a daily video. It's probably going to be a little bit shorter, 5 minutes or so, with just one small movement that you can do on a daily basis to just keep your parts, all of your parts moving. And so I'll be starting that whenever Coffee and Move ends, and Coffee and Move will end at the end of our retreat. Have a wonderful day.